Once the gravel-voiced balladeer of heartbreak anthems, now he crafts introspective albums from a quieter perch, his mullet traded for mindfulness. From How Am I Supposed to Live Without You to championing music therapy, he's tuned his power pipes toward healing. Please Don't Go Girl made teens swoon in the 80s, but these days Joey McIntyre channels his charm into Broadway roles and intimate solo sets. The new kid's youngest heartthrob now explores fatherhood and stagecraft with a depth fame once eclipsed. He once crooned in 6 languages to packed arenas, draped in velvet and global acclaim. Now 81, Julio Iglesias enjoys life out of spotlight, his romantic baritone echoing in tribute albums and the artist he's inspired across continents and generations. He once slid across stages to Blamas, redefining Latin crossover. Now 50, Enrique Iglesias still ignites crowds but paces his releases, navigating a music world transformed by streaming. With dad status and tour fatigue, he's choosing balance over burnout. Right Here Waiting once echoed from every slow dance floor. Today, Richard Marx pins chart toppers for younger stars, trading center stage for songwriting mastery. That raspy tenderness remains, but now it fuels Grammy-winning collaborations, proof that evolution, not nostalgia, drives his rhythm. From dancing in a trench coat with Never Gonna Give You Up to filling arenas again decades later, Rick Astley rewrote the punchline. His velvety baritone outlasted the meme, reclaiming respect with soulful new albums and live sets that prove the voice was never just a viral loop. Slick in eyeliner and velvet, Simon Le Bon once helmed Duran Duran's synth-driven takeover. Decades later, his voice slightly weathered, still electric, anchors reunion tours and new records. He never chased retro relevance. He curated it, reshaping new wave into something enduring and fiercely self-aware. A tuxedoed torchbearer of art rock, Bryan Ferry once seduced the 80s with suave detachment and moody glamour. Now at 79, he croons jazz standards with smoky elegance, his influence seeping into indie acts. Age hasn't dulled his edge. It's only deepened the polish on every note. From gold lame suits and orchestral synthpop with ABC to quiet creative sessions in his home studio, Martin Fry transformed from 80s glam frontman to reflective craftsman. The look of Love once lit dance floors, now it anchors lectures on pop artistry. That high haunting falsetto from Take On Me once defined MTV-era magic. Today, Morten Harket merges climate activism with ambient compositions. The AHA frontman may sing softer now, but his voice still rises for causes beyond chart positions. From tantric rock mystic to elder statesman of songwriting, Sting once stung with police anthems and solo jazz fusions. At 73, he curates cross-genre projects and lends his pen to global justice, proving poetic conscience never retires, only evolves. Before we continue these amazing celebrity transformations, here's a quick challenge for you. Can you subscribe to Then vs. Now Legends in the next 5 seconds? Smash that subscribe button and join us on this journey through time with your favorite stars. Karma Chameleon colored the 80s in flamboyant hues, but Boy George now spins wisdom from DJ booths and memoirs. Having turned trials into truth-telling, he mentors queer youth and blends reggae with soul. His voice no longer cries for fame, but meaning. Once the introspective voice behind Wouldn't It Be Good, Nick Kershaw now thrives behind the scenes, writing for Elton John and others. The spiky hair's gone, but the sharp songwriting remains, less visible on stage, more embedded in the DNA of pop's evolving soundscape. Never Ending Story once gave Limahl a synth-soaked passport to global fame. Today, he re-emerges with dignity and disco sheen intact, performing with orchestras and releasing new tracks. His falsetto, once futuristic, now carries the elegance of someone who never stopped believing in melody. With Relax, Holly Johnson jolted the 80s into boldness, his voice a siren for liberation. Years later, after conquering illness and homophobia, he crafts visual art and music with layered, unapologetic truth. His presence now whispers impact instead of shouting for attention. He once declared himself a genius, and for a time it rang true. With Wishing Well, Terence Trent D'Arby soared. Now living as Sananda Mithra, he crafts genre-bending works outside the machine. It's not a retreat. It's reinvention, spiritual and fiercely self-directed. Once a new wave pirate with tribal paint and swaggering defiance, Adamant now shares his battles with mental health from intimate stages. Goody Two-Shoes mocked conformity, and decades later, he still resists it, crafting solo work on his own terms. Backstreet's golden-haired heartthrob once danced through arenas to I Want It That Way. Now 45, Nick Carter balances solo projects with fatherhood and grief, using music to process loss and to raise awareness for mental health and family resilience. From the velvety half of Hall & Oates to the soul-savvy host of Live from Daryl's House, Daryl Hall, now 78, shifted from pop chart royalty to genre-blending mentor. Rich Girl made him a star, but legacy now lives in every guest he champions. He once moved in sync with the Backstreet Boys choreography. Now, Kevin Richardson blends music with environmental activism. After stepping back to focus on family, he rejoined the group with new depth, letting age enrich harmony, not dim it. Once the glam synth architect of Duran Duran's sleek futurism, Nick Rhodes now curates soundscapes that blur art and electronica. Still dressed like a pop noir painting, he scores abstract films and revives new wave with elegant precision. Less MTV, flash, more avant-garde pulse. From bass-thumping heartthrob in Duran Duran to sober sage of rhythm, John Taylor transformed fame into fuel. Once chased by screaming fans, now he mentors young musicians and co-authors memoirs. His grooves matured, but still laced with that defiant pop shimmer. Wicked Game once wrapped hearts in smoky melancholy, his croons slow dancing with shadows. Today, Chris Isaak tours in vintage threads, his voice richer but just as haunted. He chose consistency over reinvention, rare devotion to romance in a restless industry. C'est La Vie launched Robbie Neville into funk pop orbit, but the spotlight dimmed fast. Rather than chase hits, he pivoted, writing for Disney and producing behind the scenes. His hooks still move millions, even if his name rarely flashes on the marquee. He once soared with Chicago's cinematic ballads, Glory of Love echoing from radios to arenas. Now 80, Peter Cetera lives far from tour buses, focusing on family and faith. Though retired from his stage, his tenor still lingers in wedding playlists and soft rock retrospectives. From Beatlemania to global elder statesman, Paul McCartney's journey spans more than fame. It's evolution in melody. At 82, he headlines festivals, pins children's books, and experiments with AI remixes, always pushing boundaries while honoring his roots. The voice behind True once filled arenas with Spandau Ballet's velvet croon. Today, Tony Hadley embraces orchestral tours and solo releases. At 65, he favors craft over chart wars, carving out a dignified space where nostalgia meets musical maturity. Jesse's Girl turned him into an 80s icon, but Rick Springfield never stayed static. Now 75, he blends music with novels, acting, and advocacy for mental health. His power chords softened, but the emotional punch still hits with rock and roll empathy. Once the velvet voice of modern talking, Thomas Anders crooned disco dreams across Europe. Now he tours solo with polished flair, fluent in both nostalgia and reinvention. He didn't just ride synthpop's wave, he preserved it, offering new chapters with every smooth refrain. Behind Modern Talking's glossy beats stood Dieter Bohlen, composer, producer, and pop mechanic. While the duo split, his factory of hooks didn't. From German talent shows to global hits, he steered careers with sharp instincts, trading fame's spotlight for music's control room. As the falsetto of New Kids on the Block, Jordan Knight sparked teen mania with every high note. Decades later, he tours with Nkat again. Older, grounded, but still smooth. In an era that buries boy bands, he helped turn one into a legacy act. From Brothers stardom to Vegas crooner, Matt Goss turned boy band buzz into Rat Pack reinvention. Now suited up under soft lights, he serenades from behind a grand piano, channeling Sinatra cool with British soul. Fame faded, but stagecraft became his signature. Once drumming behind the frenzy of Brothers with When Will I Be Famous, Luke Goss pivoted from teen idol to brooding film star. Now 56, he crafts abstract art and indie cinema, channeling fame's residue into quiet reinvention far from the screaming crowds. Summer of '69, once blasted from every car stereo, now Bryan Adams shoots portraits between arena tours. At 65, he bridges photography, activism, and rock, using both lens and lyrics to fight injustice and freeze moments beyond the music charts. NSYNC's silky-voiced architect behind It's Gonna Be Me slipped out of the spotlight post-boy band era. Now 48, JC chases writes and produces behind the scenes, preferring craft to camera, his quiet influence shaping today's polished pop machine. Once spinning through NSYNC's choreography, Lance Bass now uplifts queer voices in Hollywood. At 46, he's a media entrepreneur, podcaster, and father, trading stadium screams for advocacy, where visibility and storytelling strike the loudest chords. Once the tousled voice of stadium anthems like Livin' on a Prayer, Jon Bon Jovi now battles vocal struggles with quiet grit. He built more than hits, he built housing foundations and community projects. The spotlight dims, but his legacy amplifies where it matters. Born to Run roared through America's soul, and Bruce Springsteen still rides that thunder. At 75, he sells out arenas, bleeding truth into every lyric. Time sharpened his voice into gravelly poetry, a working-class prophet whose relevance never needed a revival. With leather pants and genre-defying riffs, Lenny Kravitz ruled the '90s rock-funk frontier. Today, he crafts furniture, memoirs, and still drops smoldering tracks, every project steeped in style and soul. Reinvention isn't his game. Refinement is. He's still sculpting cool in real time. Kiss from a Rose, once soared from every radio dial, now Seal's voice, weathered yet soaring, finds new depth in stripped-down sets and global tours. His journey through scars and soul never craved perfection, only connection, and that's what endures. He once declared it the power of love as his band ruled the charts and Back to the Future soundtracks. Now 74, Huey Lewis battles hearing loss, but hasn't surrendered melody, creating a Broadway musical and mentoring young artists from behind the curtain. Livin' La Vida Loca launched him into global superstardom. Today, Ricky Martin, now 53, uses that fame to advocate for LGBTQ+ rights and disaster relief. From stadiums to speaking out, his rhythm remains fierce, less about spectacle, more about purpose. He wore sunglasses at night and became a synth-pop rebel, but Corey Hart walked away from fame to raise his family. At 63, he returned on his own terms, penning songs with poetic resolve and showing that stepping back can be a louder kind of choice. Once gracing teen magazine covers with feathered hair and disco beats, Leif Garrett's journey spiraled through fame's harshest lessons. Now 63, he speaks openly about recovery, offering cautionary tales and creative honesty in his memoirs and interviews. Caribbean Queen once made Billy Ocean a dance floor staple. Today, his rich, joyful voice graces global stages with warmth rather than flash. After stepping back to raise a family, he returned with grace, reminding fans that groove can mature without losing its glow. He once raised fists to stadium skies with U2's anthems. Now, Bono's activism echoes louder than his falsetto. From global debt relief to reflective memoirs, he turned rock stardom into a megaphone for justice, proof that a voice can change even when the pitch shifts. The golden voice behind Journey's Open Arms vanished from stages for years. Steve Perry chose silence over spotlight, grieving in private. But his late return wasn't about reclaiming fame. It was healing, raw, and resolute, sung from a place that only time could reach. Once the synth-pop optimist behind things can only get better, Howard Jones now crafts ambient soundscapes and mentors indie talent. His melodies matured, but hope remains his signature chord, still playing keys, still pushing sonic boundaries with quiet conviction. From Ness When Seas dance breaks to solo superstardom with Crimea River, Justin Timberlake once shaped pop's future. Now 44, after highs and backlash, he juggles film roles, fatherhood, and selective returns, his ambition recalibrated, but never retired. With his bass grooves and chiseled charisma, Martin Kemp helped Spandau Ballet define 80s cool. At 63, he shifted to acting, radio hosting, and family life, his rhythm steady, even if the volume's lower. The spotlight flickers, but never fully fades. As the pen behind True, Gary Kemp shaped romantic pop with Spandau Ballet's signature elegance. Now 65, he balances solo tours, Spandau reunions, and deep-dive interviews on music history, still composing, still questioning, never merely nostalgic. Depeche Mode's sonic architect, Martin Gore once sculpted moody synthscapes that echoed through clubs and counterculture. Now 64, he releases ambient solo work and advocates for animal rights. His frequencies have shifted, but still pulse with intent. Once crooning boleros under stadium lights, Luis Miguel became Latin pop royalty before vanishing into guarded privacy. Now re-emerged in sold-out tours, his golden voice remains intact, weathered by fame, refined by solitude, and echoing with a mystery he chose to keep. Leather-clad and sneering through Rebel Yell, Billy Idol ruled MTV's wildest years. Today, he trades snarls for storytelling, blending punk grit with reflective power ballads. Silver hair now spikes with purpose, less rebellion, more revelation, and his sneer carries earned wisdom. France once sang along to every line of Casser La Voix. Patrick Bruel's voice, raw and resolute, became a generational touchstone. Today, he balances sold-out concerts with acting and poker, proving cultural relevance isn't always loud. It can be gracefully sustained. Once the androgynous mystic of Japan's art pop scene, David Sylvian now composes abstract works in quiet exile. No longer chasing charts, he curates sonic tapestries that defy genre. His journey rewrote fame into philosophy, enigmatic, cerebral, and defiantly uncommercial. From thunderous drum solos on In the Air Tonight to global stardom with Genesis, Phil Collins once commanded stages with raw intensity. Now 74, health challenges have quieted his pace, but his songwriting legacy endures, echoing in film scores and family tours. New Kids on the Block launched him with streetwise swagger, but Donnie Wahlberg, now 56, traded stadiums for scripts. As an actor and producer, he's built a second act with grit, balancing cop dramas, family life, and nostalgic tours on his own terms. He once had the world dancing all night long, his smooth voice bridging pop and soul. At 75, Lionel Richie mentors rising stars on TV while headlining legacy tours, proving that warmth, wit, and melody age gracefully when rooted in joy and generosity. Once Take That's cheeky wildcard turned solo sensation, Robbie Williams filled stadiums with swagger and vulnerability. Now he reflects through documentaries and paintings, navigating fame's fallout with candor. The bravado softened, but his flair for reinvention never skipped a beat. Sweet Caroline once lit up arenas. Now Neil Diamond sings softly from memory, having stepped back after a Parkinson's diagnosis. Yet his legacy plays on, echoing in Broadway musicals, baseball games, and hearts worldwide. He didn't fade, he simply passed the mic with grace. Then Versus Now Legends is feeling a bit lonely. 99% of you haven't subscribed yet. Show us some love and hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you the jaw-dropping journeys of your favorite stars. And if you're as fascinated by then and now glow-ups as we are, check out our previous videos. Trust us, they're totally worth your time and ours too.